I have something for you, and it's really weird.
Hit me.
Did you know that there was a cave found in the Grand Canyon in the early 1900s that predated Native Americans, and in fact looked like it came from Egypt? And the Smithsonian denies it to this day, yet they funded the expedition.
Wow.
What?
Yes.
That's a lot of information.
Did you know?
Yeah. No. Once again.
Yeah, I got it the first time. I watched this on the Y Files. Shout out, Mr. Y. I actually don't know his name. Probably should learn it.
Yeah.
Can we be friends?
Going to butcher it a little bit because I meant to write more about it this morning, but did not. So 1908, President Teddy Roosevelt was establishing all the national parks, but it would take 11 years for Congress to fully pass the bill or whatever to establish these different lands as national parks. This explorer, his name was arts. His name was oh boy, I don't even know how to say his name. Kincaid. Kincaid? Yeah, Kincaid.
Yeah.
Nice. G.E. Kincaid. He wanted to go to the Grand Canyon to look for gold before they established it as a national park. So he was going down one of the rivers in the Grand Canyon and saw a mineral deposit about 2,000 feet up on a cliff. Went up there and he saw like some bushes or whatever, and he pushed the bushes aside, and it was a staircase that led up to he said clearly a man-made cave.
Yeah.
He walked in there and immediately was like, what am I looking at? Because it looked like there was hieroglyphics all on the walls.
So weird.
And so we did a little more exploring, and it was huge. And so he was like, this is crazy. And so he like took some pictures and stuff, and then went to the Smithsonian and was like, can you fund me? And like, we'll get a team out there to see what this is.
Yeah.
So they went out there and it was basically an underground city. And they said that at one point in time, it would have housed like 50,000 people.
What?
It just went so deep. And he said but it got super weird with like, there were statues in it that actually resembled more of like a Buddha, but like looked different than Buddha, but it was like same.
But it
like,
didn't
posture.
look like it was from Native Americans.
No.
Like it added like
There's
no hints
there's nothing to do with Native Americans in this cave. And then there's this one room that they called like the warrior room, and it was just like thousands of mummies of these men up on shelves, just like tons of them. And that like they're just like, we can't explain this, all this stuff. And so the dude wrote this whole thing, but then the Smithsonian took all the stuff that they found in the cave.
Yeah.
And basically the story is they never released it to the public.
Wow. And
the guy's like, why aren't we talking
about this?
Yeah, it's like we had a whole team go out there.
Yeah.
And then to this day they deny it. They're like, that didn't exist. That story's made up.
So do they have access to the cave now? Is there anything?
This is where it gets crazy.
Okay.
I always say that. But if you go there to this day where the man wrote that it would have been, it's fenced off, and it's like they don't want people to get too close to the edge, or like there's just this one restricted section in the Grand Canyon. And it's like it's just to keep people safe or whatever. But this one couple who did like 20 years of research to find out where it is, they finally got basically to where they needed to go down. And all of a sudden there's Black Hawk helicopters flying around them. Then the police and park ranger showed up and was like, hey, yeah, you guys can't be here.
Oh my goodness.
And so it's like, what in the world, bro?
What could possibly be in there?
Yeah. It's weird.
Is that alien stuff?
Well,
is there alien stuff in there?
Here's what's crazy.
Because that's pretty close to all Roswell and stuff like that, and the Area 51. Like that's nearby.
Well, the natives in that region, I think it was maybe the Navajo or like I don't know what Native Americans were in that place, but they talked about how they weren't the first people on the land, and that there was people actually before them, and those people were taught by the star people, and like they're taught by the star people how to make weapons, how to do all this, and because he said like within the thing, he said the technology far surpassed what Native Americans had.
Yeah.
Like they had like actual like weaponry, like swords and like all this stuff. And so it's just, there's this whole theory that it would.
That's wacky, dude.
Because I feel like this theory is that like the mainstream archaeology and like museums like the Smithsonian, they cover up stories like this because it goes against the narrative that they've been teaching since being founded. You know, like if you came out and said like, oh, well, actually, Native Americans weren't here. It was this ancient civilization that was established thousands of years before the Native Americans. Then everything that they talked about Native Americans is just kind of like, we were wrong.
Yeah. You hear a lot about taking things out of history books because of for whatever reason. But you don't hear a lot about adding. And you think the more we get older, the more we're going to learn about our land, our history, our culture, and discover more things. And maybe I'm just out of the loop. But it's like I don't feel like we hear stories about, hey, we're adding this now to our history books and to our teachings because this is incredible information that we didn't know before. Yeah. There's got to be stuff that we didn't know about. That's
what I'm saying. I'm like this is the whole journey I'm on.
Yeah, yeah.
Of just like not being all like but like, hey, why don't we just question like what we've been taught from history and stuff? Of
not
just
saying
like,
whether what's right or
if
wrong,
you're finding new evidence that goes against this old theory, that you should be able to change it.
Yeah,
you know?
There's a nice balance to that of trusting things that have been tested, that we have actual proof over. But then there's also things that a lot of the stuff is just told from mouth, and we just got to trust it, and we just got to hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean the fact that I truly believe the pyramids are way older than what we think.